Welcome to Sorry if I speak when I speak. We are going to preview the 2017 NFL Draft, all 7 rounds. In this episode, we're going to talk about the first and second rounds. I want to start with John Sheeran, our draft guru. John, who do you think the Bengals need to add to help them get back to contention and to really give that, that team, whether it's the defense or the offense, some bite, some immediate impact?
Yeah, it's been a while since the Bengals drafted in the top 10, since 2011 when they drafted Green. Personally, when if I'm drafting in the top 10, there's really 3 positions that I'm really trying to get. And that's a quarterback, a pass rusher, which means an edge rusher, or a 3 technique, like a Geno Atkins, or a cornerback. And the reason why is when the elite players of those positions eventually hit the open market for their second contract, they are by far getting the most guaranteed money compared to any other positions playing the field. So when I'm drafting in the top 10, I'm thinking about if I'm going to hand out $30 to $16 million in guaranteed money, I needed to make sure that I'm maximizing the value. So if I'm looking at those 3 positions for the Bengals, obviously they're not taking a quarterback. They're loyal to Dalton. Obviously they have a lot of investment already in cornerback, so cornerback's probably off the list. So the best position to look is pass rusher. And for me personally, there's only 2 pass rushers that I have as top 10 grades. And one's going to be gone to the Browns and Myles Garrett. So the ideal pick for the Bengals is Solomon Thomas. He immediately comes in as an edge rusher. He comes in to back up Dunlap at left defensive end. He's the ideal body type for that strong side defensive end who can just line up at the 6 technique spot, take on a tight end and base downs. And then he's so experienced because in Stanford they had a lot of injuries in their interior, so they moved him inside, and he was very undersized when he played for 3 downs because he would get dominated in combo blocks and whatnot. But when you just have him as a one-gap pass rusher, he dominates. I mean, if you ever have him as a one-on-one, he has the elite strength, size, and quickness combo to just destroy A-gaps and just completely wreck your interior pass blocking. And having had that guy next to Geno on 3rd down that can be his running mate, be another disruptor that can take away the double team from Geno. And the Bengals need pass rushers. They only have two pass rushers on their team right now, in Geno and Dunlap. So they need to get that extra pass rusher into that nickel rotation, because if you don't have pass rushers in this league, you're just not going to win. So I think Thomas is by far the best pick at number 9, if he even lasts that long.
Yeah, John, I actually agree with you. I do love Solomon Thomas a lot. But unfortunately, I do not think that he will actually be there when the 9th pick comes. So mine is actually a little, I guess you could say, conservative, because Hassan Reddick isn't supposed to be picked until late 1st round, maybe even early 2nd round. I've even had some of that. But, there's been one mock draft that has had Hassan Reddick to us, so I'm going to take that as some hope. But this dude is really, really good. He's from Temple, so it's a smaller school, but he will give our defense a versatility that we've never really had before. I mean, when we go into a 4-3 set, he can play, we can have packages where he plays DN and for Michael Johnson, so he'll give us a good explosive rush. And if we go 3-4, he can be the outside linebacker. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a smaller but much, much more athletic Clay Matthews. So that's where I like to go with it.
I mean, he definitely fits the athletic profile of any pass rusher you take in the top 10. You want him to be not only productive, which he was, but to athletically translate well into the NFL. And I know a lot of people don't want to pigeonhole him at a position. He's 6'3", or he's 6'1", 230, so he's obviously not going to play with his hand in the dirt for the majority of his snaps. But he can offer you versatility because you're right. He's very athletic. He can rush off the edge, and he can be like that pursuit linebacker. So I think his versatility along with his athleticism definitely makes him an attractive option as a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I got a whole different thing in mind, guys.
Yeah, what are you thinking? Because John makes a lot of sense to me. Would you think about our...
He does. He does. And Jordan does too. But wow, the pessimism. Wow, what do you do? Man, you guys are so young. When I was your age, man, I had hair. I would shine it up, grease it up. I'd go outside and, make my suspenders really tight. And man, the world was bright and the sun was shining. You guys are so down. My pick Miles Garrett, baby cakes. Make it happen.
He's not going to be there at number 9. It's just not
I don't care. Make it happen.
How do you make that happen?
You trade your dogs. Whatever it takes, man. You trade your dogs.
All right.
Yeah, did you see Miles get? Did you see his combine numbers, man? He's basically like Bruce Smith with the speed of Randy Moss and the leaping ability of Carl Pickens.
Okay, that's a little bit of exaggeration there.
But that's what we need. We need an exaggerated player. We need a transcendent player. We need the Matrix. Okay, we're rebuilding, or at least
We're retooling. Yeah.
But okay, I get it. Okay, we are the Bengals. We're cheap. We're not trading up. Fine. Then I say you find a game-changing offensive player, and I'm talking about your guy, the John Ross. The guy isn't just fast; he's the fastest. He's got the best 40-yard time recorded, and the way he gets in and out of cuts. I mean, he put the ball in his hands. You can see the type of change the Vikings saw in 1998 when they drafted Randy Moss. Just like AJ Green, Chris Carter was a top receiver, and they had Jake Reed, who wasn't too shabby himself, coming off 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. But they go out, and what do? They have an absolute beast in Moss. Similarly, what do we got? We got Green, okay, fine, and we got some other competent receivers, agreed. But if we want to break out of this rut of mediocrity, we got to go big or go where? Home. So I'm talking about either your John Ross or Otirius Jabari. Howard, who had a ridiculous cone time of 6.85 seconds, better than all but 2 running backs, and better than all but 4 receivers taken in the top 10 picks since 2008. Since 1999, no tight end taken in the first 5 rounds has had a better 40-yard time, 3 cone time than Howard, according to who? Marcus Armstrong. Oh, we have time. You're laughing, but I know what you're thinking. You're thinking we have Tyler Eifert. I know that, but wouldn't it be nice to have someone who could play more than 6 games in the season? I mean, okay, it's nice to see him sitting on the sidelines with his feet up in the air and stuff with the hurt back. But I mean, seriously, guys.
Okay, all right, hold on. I want to get John and Jordan's perspective on these 2 names, because yes, they sound flashy. But John, what would they really add to our team? What would they really fill the need? Would they really, add to our win total? John Ross and OJ Howard.
I'll start with Ross because I actually agree with Hodgie a lot. I think if Thomas isn't there, which in all likelihood he won't be, I think Ross has to be the next name on their list. Because once again, if you don't take a quarterback, if you don't take a pass rush, you don't take a cornerback, then it gets kind of fuzzy on where you value other positions. But when you look at the open market, who's getting the next biggest money? It's wide receivers. No one on the Bengals roster besides AJ Green can really threaten any cornerbacks. They see Brandon LaFell lining up out there. No one's really scared of him. John Ross might not immediately step in as a number 2, but I think that if you're taking a guy in the top 10, he has to give you something that you don't. And I think Ross absolutely does that. His medicals obviously have to come clear, but I think he's definitely, if he stays healthy, he's definitely going to be worth that pick.
Yeah. And our offense will be lethal again. And
when you're talking about O.J. Howard, I think you can classify him pretty much as a generational type talent. I mean, it's true. 6'6", 250, and the way he runs and jumps, it's unreal. You don't really see tight ends do that, and he's a great blocker. Like, he's a tremendous blocker. He's not just he can translate well as a blocker. He's a very, very good blocker coming out of college. But the Bengals run 11 personnel, which means like 80% of the time. So they only have 1 tight end out there.
Well, would this be an eye towards not re-signing Eifert, for instance? Maybe. Yeah.
That's what I would think if you got Eifert or if you got Howard.
Even so, this guy is making whoever we pick at 9 is going to have a contract about 4 years, $17 million, and all that's guaranteed money. So right there, whoever we pick is going to get the second most guaranteed money on the team. Are we really going to just are we really going to pick that player at 9 and just only have him as a safekeep for letting another player go the next year?
Well, I gotta say, John, you're really being a Bengals fan all these years has really shaped the way you think in terms of value, and and I like that. I love good deals. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised or shocked to see it happen because it could just be a best player available thing, and you're not really pissed off when you have players like OJ Howard because they're just going to be productive, but they're just not in the position to take a second tight end when your entire offense is predicated on only having one tight end on the field.
All right, John.
But you're one tight end. I mean, guys, there's one thing you're not realizing. Eifert is the glass slipper of tight ends. I mean, Cinderella had glass slippers, and only she could wear them. And
you don't go into the draft expecting one of your star players to get injured. That's just not smart planning.
When it's Eifert, you do. When it's
I want to see what Jordan has to say about these, and then we wrap up the first round. Jordan, go ahead. Your take on these two or any other prospects in the first round. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I had to take one of the two, I would definitely take John Ross because, like John was saying, you don't go into a season, planning on somebody being hurt, and with winning a Super Bowl, you almost have to have that luck of your main guys being healthy. So with that being said, I would plan to have Tyler Eifert healthy if we were to compete anyways with a John Ross and an AJ Green to be a 3-person set. But me personally, I'm not your wide receiver guy. I said that in the last video, and I looked a lot at Cody Core after Dadio said something about him being a deep threat, and we do have a good amount of wide receivers, and me personally, I'm just not a wide receiver guy, so I'd much rather take a guy from a different, more needed position.
Yeah, I gotta say the way the league is kind of going, with the value of tight ends and their role in the offense, and you got to think about fit. It seems like John Ross is a great deep threat, but really, would Dalton look at his chemistry with Eifert? I think Dalton with an elite tight end is a different type of combination than Dalton with a guy who's got a ton of speed, who we don't know can the Bengals, offensively with Ken Zampese, can they scheme to get him the ball properly or not, right? So I gotta say, I think Howard, he does seem like actually both of them physically are kind of once in a generation type talent. But Howard, with John, like he said, the blocking, he seems like he could add more in the running game too, even. So, all right.
I'll say this just to add really quick. Like, wide receivers may not be like one of the integral parts of a championship team, but when you have Andy Dalton as your quarterback, your number one priority going into the next season is to basically just make sure he has enough weapons around him, which is why I would advocate John Ross at 9.
Well, right, but here's the thing. Can he have the time with that offensive line and this offense to get the ball deep to John Ross? Whereas with a guy like Howard, he's running shorter routes, he's going to be a better safety blanket.
He's not going to be on the field.
Yeah, that's something to think of.
He's not.
Yeah, but we don't know with the way the Bengals go. I mean, Marvin Jones, how much did he play as rookie? I don't know how much they give rookie receivers other than AJ Green, how much they see the field other than Marvin Lewis either. I don't know. These are things to think about. I think we talked about some very, exciting draft prospects. Maybe not the ones the Bengals are looking at as much, but it was interesting talk, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the round 2 of the draft. And you're listening to, sorry if I spit, tonight.